Hey all, it's Linda. Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am doing my 2023 eyeshadow palette ranking. I know the year is not yet over, but we're getting close enough where I feel pretty confident in ranking all of the palettes that I have tried this year. In total, I have tried 28 eyeshadow palettes. Now, not all of these came out in 2023, but all of these I tried for the first time in 2023. So that's how I wanted to include things on here. And I am excited / nervous / anxious. I was not expecting ranking these to make me as anxious as it did, because the thing is, there are 28 palettes, like I said, and only one of them, I didn't like. Everything else I liked and or loved, like really, really loved. So this took me so long to rank just myself. Like I don't know, it was just really, really difficult to rank them in general. But eventually, I think the way that I decided to rank them is like, do I want to pick up these palettes time and time and time again? Do I want to wear these like every day? Do I even like dream about different color stories I can do with these palettes? And yes, I'm a nerd who dreams about makeup, sue me. I was on a low buy this year, so a lot of these were sent to me in PR, and that just means the entire world to me. And I know that a lot of these palette ranking videos are ranking like 200 palettes or 150 palettes or something like that, and this is just a mere 28. But we're gonna get right into this. I'm actually really excited just because I love talking about eyeshadow palettes. And again, I love so many of these. Coming in at number 28, so technically the bottom of my list, we have the Lottie London Vampire Diaries Love Sucks. They did come out with a few different palettes, but this is the 6-pan. If you saw my video on this, I hated this. This is the only palette that I actively disliked in all the palettes I tried. This black was so muted. I wouldn't even call it a gray. It was just patchy. It wasn't opaque at all. The shimmers were not metallic. You could see right through them. I just really didn't like this palette. This is the only one out of all these. I feel like I keep saying that, but this is the only one that I actively disliked. And I can't even give this away, y'all. I've had this in like my giveaway bowl that I keep for friends to look through and my niece to look through and things like that. No one even wants this. And I suppose it's because anytime anyone picks it up, I'm like, nah, you don't want that. That's terrible. At number 27, now this is where we start getting into the palettes in general that I may have liked or, you know, I just loved for one reason or another, but they're just not at the top of my list. So we have Bare Necessities by ColourPop. Again, this did not come out in 2023, but it was the first time I tried it. I only used it a very few times. This was given to us on the Creators and Friends trip in Charleston. This is a really pretty neutral palette. It really, really is. But here's the thing. I don't love huge palettes like this. Like this is a 30-pan. I just don't need it. The quality was really, really good even. But I just found that anytime I was going for a neutral look, I was not reaching for this one. So I did declutter this in my most recent declutter. I'm going to be giving this away to somebody in my family, my friends, and somebody is absolutely going to love this. This will probably be someone's go-to palette. It's really, really pretty. It's just not something I was using. Oh God, this is so hard, but ranking at number 27, we have the Fantasy Cosmetica Warlock palette. I did not declutter this, and I'm not going to declutter this because I still really, really like this palette. The color story is so unique, right? Like, I feel like this is not even a color story I could dream of, but it goes together somehow, right? Like it all meshes together. The quality is really, really good. The only reason that it's a bit further down on my list is just because I don't reach for this one as often. I admit that I have a little bit of a difficult time finding a good color story for these. Like I can mix 2 colors, but you know how there are those people that could probably use all 9 of these colors? I bet you Betty Jean has done a look using all 9 colors on one eye because she's just like so effing talented like that. But I'm not one of those people who can use 9 colors in a look, you know what I mean? And just, it's so beautiful. It's not going anywhere out of my collection. I really enjoy this, but it's just not one that I've picked up as often, so that's why it is this place on the list. I feel like I need to get some makeup wipes because I'm going to want to start doing random swatches. At number 25, again, this is a palette that is not bad at all, and I even enjoy it. But it's got to be at that ranking. This is the Star Wars The Child palette, Mandalorian, and it is such a cute color story. I love greens and golds and like army dirty greens. You guys know that. That's kind of like my lifeblood. But at the same time, I just wasn't reaching for this palette, which almost doesn't make sense because I love this color story, but it just wasn't doing it for me. And I know this can get better love somewhere else. So I did declutter this in my recent declutter. It's so pretty though. Like, it is so pretty. And I think the color story was perfect for Mandalorian for the child. I think it was perfect having these browns, these greens, these golds. I think they did a banger job with this. I think it's a great palette. But again, it just wasn't one that I was consistently reaching for, so that's why it is this place on the list. At number 24, we have the Wicked Widow Graveyard Smash palette. This is such a freaking cute color story too, isn't it? Like, I feel like you've got those like kind of earthy tones that are, you know, the graveyard feel, but then you've got the Monster Mash kind of feel with these brights in there mixed in. It is really, really cool, and I really enjoy this. Some of these colors, like, I think they're really shifty. These two up here are just really pretty, really shifty. The quality is really, really, really good. But again, I wasn't reaching this as much as reaching for this, excuse me, as much as some of these other palettes that are ranked higher. But I'm so glad I got to try this brand for the first time this year. I'm really hoping to try them more next year because the quality is really like next level. At number 23, this is the only palette I no longer have in my collection, and it might surprise you that this one was only ranked number 23, but it is the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. So I thought about this one when it first came out, and I told myself, you don't need it, Linda. You don't need it, Linda. You don't need it, Linda, until suddenly I really needed it, okay? I was thinking about it for so long, and I finally bought it, and I really enjoyed it. The quality was Natasha Denona quality, which is some of my favorite out there. It was really, really good, but the problem was that I have this palette 10 times over. I have all these colors and I love them and they're beautiful, but the color story is one that always had me reaching for another palette to supplement it. I really loved it. I loved the color story, but again, like, if I always feel the need that I have to grab another palette for the most part, unless the colors are really mind-blowingly special, then it's just going to be lower on my list. And this is one that I eventually was able to look at and go, you know what? This deserves a better home. I did put it on my Mercari page and it has gone off to a better place at this point. And I'm so happy because that means someone will get to really love it. But yeah, the Natasha Denona Yucca palette is a little further down on my list. Another one that I did declutter in my recent declutter is the Nomad palette, the Verona palette, and this is number 22. So this is really cool though in that, oh, you have one side that has these beautiful reds. It's supposed to be like a love and death palette. So this is your love, this is your death side. And to be honest, like, I just really didn't vibe with the love side, but the death side, I really, really love. I just didn't feel like it was worth it for me to keep a palette just for half of it, if that makes sense, because somebody else is going to be obsessed with this whole thing. And it's really beautiful, but this side really, really got to me. But there is a palette that is ranked much higher on my list in general that I feel like encompasses this, but like times 10. So that's why I eventually did declutter this one. I know one of my friends is going to be freaking obsessed with this, and this was number 22. I was going to say this is where stuff starts getting hard, but it's already been hard. At number 21, we have the Unearthly Fall Magic palette. You guys, this palette is so pretty. It is so pretty, but why I really liked this palette is that it surprised the ever-loving hell out of me, okay? Because I look at this palette and I don't instantly see Linda. It's hard for me to see Linda because we've got pinks and purples and it's just not my vibe, that part of it. But I was able to create, I feel like, such a cool look with this palette. I really liked it and I can't wait to play with this one some more. The only reason that it's number 21, correct? 21 on my list, yes, is because I've only reached for it about 2 to 3 times since I've gotten it. I've thought about it, but it's not like constantly on my mind or I'm not constantly reaching for it. But I love this palette. I can't wait to play with it some more. Like, the colors are so cool and shifty. And you know what? This will be the first one. Like, look at this color. Let me see if I can accurately show you the shift in this. So it goes from green, you see the purple tinge there, and it goes full on like green and gold. It's just really, really pretty. I swear it's looking just purple in the camera, but it's definitely, there's the greenish. It's so cool. It is such a cool multi-chrome and I just love it. I can't wait to play with this one some more. All right, we are in the top 20 and I am adding in the Nomad Air palette. So I am very well aware that this palette is going to be considered boring to a lot of people, okay? It is a 6-pan palette, and you cannot get more neutral than this. However, in the weeks that I got this, like the first weeks I had it, I reached for this palette like a dozen times. This became like my go-to palette for work, for hopping on a Zoom call real quick. This palette is so perfect to get that neutral look done, and I really loved it and I really appreciate it. The quality is really good too. Like the colors can be built up. You can make this smoky. You can make it smoky oaky, or you can go real chill with it and sparkly and pretty. I just really enjoy this. Like, I think this might be one that I wind up taking on trips with me as my neutral palette. Like, I'll bring a colorful palette and a neutral. This is going to be one that definitely does come traveling with me quite a bit because the quality is really good. And it's just, it works. It just works. At number 19, we have the Kaleidos Venus Trap palette. This palette surprised me because this is not my usual color story. These are very cool toned. They are mauve. They are browns. It's just not my usual vibe, right? But they worked so well. These taupes, I said browns, they are taupe, like straight up gray taupe. But it worked really well and it made my eye color really pop, which surprised me because usually warm tones make my eye color pop, but this really did the trick. And also, this silver is so pretty. Look at that. It's like, it looks absolutely wet on the skin. It's just like such a pretty sparkle and it has so much shine to it. I just really loved it. Like this one surprised the hell out of me, to be honest. So yes, this one is number 19. At number 18, very similar, we have Twilight Rush by the same collection. It's the Kaleidos Alma Viva. These purples are so pretty. So you do have this kind of like dusty purple, then you've got a dusty light purple, you've got a purple sparkle and a black sparkle. I love this. And you know what, even just looking at it, I need to use this one more. I really do. It's really cool that Kaleidos knows how to put together quads really well. So you can create a complete look. Now, are there 50 looks I can do with this one? Probably not. But at the same time, I feel like what they do so well. I really enjoyed these. They are just such great quality. The sparkles really stand out and the mauves, the mattes rather, they just blend so easily together. It's just an easy palette to work with and I really enjoyed it. At number 17, this might surprise a few of you, but I'm putting in a Melt palette at number 17, and you guys know how obsessed I am with Melt, but I'm putting in the Electrip palette at number 17. Not because the quality is bad, because it's absolutely not. It's really good quality. I really enjoy it, but I haven't reached for it nearly as much as I reach for every single other Melt palette in my collection. I do feel like there are colors in here that are unique to my collection though. Like for example, Blue Heaven, which is a very light, sparkly blue. I don't have anything else like this in my collection, I believe. And just like, I don't know, it does make me happy looking at the color story. I feel like this does look quite similar to the Viva palette, or the Vita palette, excuse me, which is one of my favorite Melt palettes of all time. And I really still enjoy this. And I'm glad I have it in my collection, but at the same time, it's just not my top favorite of all Melt palettes. So again, this is number 17, the Electrip. This is staying in my collection, but it's just not my top Melt palette of the year. At number 16, so I would say this might be the point. As I'm looking over here at the collection, number 16 is the point of palettes like I love these palettes. It took me so long to rank all of these. And it's just like, even still looking at it, I want to rearrange it, but I can't do that anymore. So number 16, another one that surprised me. We have the Sigma Mini Ambiance palette. I really enjoyed this palette. Okay, these colors are beautiful and they're warm and they're neutral, okay, but the quality is so good. And even though it's a smaller palette, you can make several looks with this. You can go deep smoky and gold. You can go rosy toned. You can go different ways with this, and I really appreciate that. Also, I love, this is the most lightweight palette in my collection probably. It is so lightweight. I do kind of wish that it wasn't this long because I do feel like for most smaller makeup bags, this would be difficult to put in it, but I love the quality of this. I love the quality, and these are the exact kind of tones that really bring out my eyes. I enjoy it. So yeah, I was actually really surprised by this, but the Sigma Mini Ambiance is number 16. At number 15, we have the Urban Decay Naked Metal Mania palette. This is another one that just surprised the hell out of me, and I know I keep talking about this, but I will say it again. I encourage you, if you are in an Ulta or Sephora and you see this laying out, please swatch it. You will be so surprised. This is like the quality of Urban Decay we all fell in love with back in the day. It is such good quality, but it's like raised another notch. So I want to do swatches for you of the two metal shadows. Guys, look at that. Look at that. This is such amazing quality, and I feel like no one is talking about this palette. And look at how metallic those two are. Especially this silver kills me every single time I swatch it. This is the main silver that I used in my look with it, and I did like a Kiss makeup look. I love these so much. And the fact that all the other colors are so nice and neutral, but you can fill it in with those pops of color. They are just like really, really metallic too. Like this purple, look at that. It's like wet looking, right? I'll do it on the other hand. This like pinky purple is so beautifully metallic. I just really, really, really enjoyed this palette. And at first when I saw pictures of it, I was so bored by it. I was straight up bored, and then I got it and I played with it and I love it. So yeah, this one is sitting, where are we? I lost my count. We are sitting at 15. At number 14, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics and Heather Austin Resurgence palette. First of all, I think I might say this is my favorite packaging of the year. These metallic, like beautiful beetles. I even still kept, which side is it on? Is it on this side? Nope, nope, it's on this side. You can see I kept the full box there because I thought it was so, so, so beautiful. And inside, oh gosh, this is like a dream. And what I love most about this is that this screams Heather to me. Heather is somebody who I consider to be a very dear, very close friend. And I love like that I open this palette and I instantly see Heather, because that's what I want to see in a collab. I want to open their palette and I want to see them and I see Heather. And it just like, it warms my heart. It almost brings like a tear to my eye. I really, really love that woman. And these colors are so freaking cool. Like this is one of the coolest color stories in my whole collection. And I actually did a look with this the other day in one of my recent videos where I used Regeneration and Nymph together, and I love those two together. It's like that neon green, this hot pink. The colors too, like let's look at Transformation. It is like a shifty blue to purple color, and it just goes on so beautifully. Like look at that. Guys, Unearthly Cosmetics, don't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them, because the quality is so, so, so good. And just like, let them surprise you. Let them surprise you and try it. But I really love this color story. I really love that it is Heather in a palette. And it just makes me so happy. It's a color story I would have never thought of. But at the same time, every time I use it, I feel inspired. At number 13, we have another collab. So this is the Odin's Eye and Angie Little Ghost palette. I always call it Little Ghosts. I don't know why I add an S to it, but this is candy, right? Isn't this candy to you? Like, I know this came out with kind of the Halloween collection during Halloween, but this says candy, Halloween candy to me. Like, I almost picture like lollipops of all different colors, and it just makes me happy. I have used this palette way more than I thought I was going to, especially these mattes. They are so beautifully vibrant and opaque. And I was like blown away by the quality of the mattes, especially the shimmers. I obviously love a good shimmer, but the mattes in this are what had me being like, okay. So yes, I really enjoyed this palette. I thought this was a really fun take on Halloween, like a really special take on Halloween. And it's just so much fun to play with. I really enjoy it. At number 12, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Sorceress Smoke Palette. This is another one that shocked the hell out of me, because when I saw it, I was like, that's really cool. But I don't know, it just looked kind of like boring to me. It is anything but boring. It is anything but boring. This is such an awesome freaking neutral palette, and it is grounded in those like grungy, earthy tones. I love this palette so freaking much. You can probably tell I've used this quite a bit since I've gotten it. So again, that's one of the ways that like I rank palettes. Like, have I used it more than once? Or are the colors like really, really special? I've used the hell out of this palette, and I really, really enjoy this. Like, this is what I think of when I say I want a neutral palette a lot of the times, is I want the chance to really make something of it. And I can make the grungiest, dirtiest look with this. Really, really enjoy it. The quality, again, as always, like unearthly. I know I always swatch the shimmers here, but like this blue to gold to green shift is just so cool. I'm trying to get the blue in there, or the purple. Can we get it? Can we get it? Either way, this is just a really, really amazing palette. I really like this. Don't sleep on this one either. Oh God, and you know I love this color so much. Herbal, that's my favorite color in the palette. So number 11 is the Nomad Royal Europe palette. And these, like, oh my gosh, this palette surprised me also, because these multi-chromes, this whole bottom row are just multi-chromes. They are insane, okay? They are just so ridiculous. I have to swatch like several of them for you because it just really, really, really surprised me. Okay, which other one do I want to do? Okay, I'm going out of order, but I don't know. Look at the shiftiness of these colors. Look at this. And let's see if I can, look at that. Even just in one swatch, you can see the crazy shifts in these, and they go from one color to the next. They are so beautiful, and the quality is so, so, so good. And of course, it's Nomad, so the mattes are going to be fantastic. And I love these deep, dark jewel tones in here. I think this was a really cohesive palette. The only thing I wish is that I wish there was like one super light color that was easier for me personally. Like, I like there to be a vaguely skin tone or light color to blend out with. There weren't a whole lot of light colors in here except for Palace of Versailles. Everything else is quite deep, but I do really enjoy this in general. And oh God, I just love it. I keep staring at it. I need to play with this one more. Y'all, we are in the top 10, and I've only made 2 switches in the process of filming this, okay? We're not going to make any more switches. I'm going through this. At number 10, we have the Melt Cosmetics Halloween Town palette. Oh God, I love this one. I just dug my finger in. I love this color story. It just makes me happy. I do feel like this is the presence in Halloween Town in Nightmare Before Christmas. And I've had a lot of fun playing with this palette. I really have enjoyed it. I thought it was just an exciting color story. And it takes a lot for me to be excited by a color story nowadays. Like, after using makeup for as long as I have and having my channel, I don't get as excited. But this one, so excited for it. I really love this. The quality is that melt quality that I love. I feel like the mattes blended well and were opaque and they weren't patchy. The shimmers went on beautifully and sparkly. I just really enjoy this. Now, I did not get the Christmas Town palette, and I have to admit there's a little bit of the collector part of me that's kicking myself for not getting it. If you got the Christmas Town palette, let me know. Do you feel like it is something that I need to have in my collection? Do you feel like you loved it? Were you bored by it? I want to know your opinions about that palette specifically, but I really enjoyed this one. I've been playing with it like several times. I just think it's fun. At number 9, we have the Shroud Cosmetics Moonfall palette. This palette is so freaking cool. Again, I know it doesn't have a lighter tone, and that's something that I do look for in my palettes, but I just really, really, really enjoy this. And these colors, again, are so shifty. This obviously is my favorite. It is Artifact, where it's that intense gold green, but it does have like a blue shift to it in a way, but it's really dark and grungy. There's almost a bit of purple in there. I really just enjoy it in general. The mattes are very, very pigmented, and I just love it. I love Moon Moss. I've used that so much. There's like a significant dip in there. There's a significant dip in Artifact and Devotion. I don't know why, because that's not a very Linda color, but this like gold to purple shift, I am so down for this. So yes, again, this is number 9. I can't believe we're already like into the top 10, like really into it. At number 8, we have another in the Odin's Eye and Angelica Nyqvist series, and this is Trick or Treat. The second I saw this palette, I knew I was going to be in love with it. And of course I am. This has everything that I want in a palette. It has light colors to blend with. It has deep colors to deepen it up. It has shifty shades. It has beautiful shimmers. It has stunning mattes that all blend together. Everything about this palette I love, and especially the color Howl. I have such a deep dip in Howl. It is not even funny. That is like the most Linda color that was ever a Linda color. I love those grungy, yellowy mattes. and it's so beautiful. This color story makes me so damn happy. And when Angie was kind of like showing me little sneak peeks of it, I knew I was going to fall in love with this one. I think this was the only palette that I took with me when we went to Disney World all together. And it just is so easy. You can make the most neutral looks possible, or you can go bold as hell with this one. I really, really love this palette a lot. Like, look how much this is shifting just as I'm holding it. That bottom color, just, it's insane. It's insane. This palette is so, so, so good. Oh my God, I really love it. I keep saying this, and I'm going to keep saying this with every palette I pick up. I need to play with these more, but I guess this is the problem with having so many palettes, is that you can't play with all of them all the time. I only have one set of eyeballs, so it's like I'm kind of beating myself up for not using these every single day, but at the same time, I love collecting makeup, so I can't. You see me like justifying here? I'm like talking myself through this. Okay, at number 7, we have the Unearthly Cosmetics Don't Be Jelly palette. This is the very first Unearthly palette I ever tried, okay? I did receive this, again, in Charleston when we did Creators and Friends. And I was instantly blown out of the water by this one. I looked at the color story and I was like, wow, that's really pretty. And I can really see like depth in this color story, but I was not expecting the quality to be what it is and what I now know for Unearthly to be. This color especially, I'm almost nervous to swatch it because it looks like nothing, but it is one of my favorite colors I own, period. So, oh my gosh, let's see if we can show you. I turned down the lights, so hopefully we can see it a little bit better, but it shifts from blue to pink to gold to purple. It is, look at that right there. Look at how pretty that is. Oh my God. Again, this is easily one of the prettiest colors I have in my collection. It is so vibrantly green, blue, purple. Anyway, I'm talking about that one color. Let's do one more. I have to show you Brine because it is such like a beautiful, shimmery green blue. The Brine is on the top here. It's so, so, so pretty. But anyway, the whole color story is just stunning, right? And I have seen everyone use this in a different way because we all, again, received this palette. And I loved seeing the way that neutral girlies wore this palette because we have some ladies on our trip that are just like natural beauty kind of ladies, and they rocked the hell out of this one. We were all, when we got this, sitting there swatching it going, oh. So yes, this is number 7 on my list. I love it. I'm already questioning whether it should be higher, but I need to stop at some point. I need to stop, and this is going to be number 7. At number 6, we have another palette that surprised me, okay? This one really surprised me. This is the Sigma Beauty and the Beast palette. When I first opened this, again, this is one where I don't want to say I was bored, but I looked at it and went, I've got all these colors. It's going to have to really be something special to wow me. And it is. The quality is so good. I have reached for this palette so many times. It's not even funny. Now, this is a neutral palette. There's no calling it anything different. Yes, there's like a purple in there. But seriously, if you take that purple out, even with that navy blue, this is a neutral palette. I have used the hell out of this. I've used every single color. Is there any color I haven't used? This color I haven't used as much either. This is Mrs. Potts, right? Or just Potts. It's a bluish, not bluish, excuse me. It's a purple pink. It's pretty. It's just not my vibe. Everything else is 100% my vibe. And I love using Beast, the deep dark blue, as an eyeliner. I love this palette. I love, love, love this palette. And I feel like not enough people talk about this and how good it is for a neutral palette. It's done so well. The quality is really good. I've used this so many times. I continually reach for this, like often. I really love it. And again, it surprised me because, right, it doesn't look like the most exciting palette, but it really is good. And also I took this out, but like I love the little Beauty and the Beast. Is there something dark I can put it against? It's so hard to see. There, you can see it there. It's just like the little, you know, cellophane thing that goes inside. It's so cute, right? It's so cute and I can't get rid of it ever. Oh, it could be a cute shirt. Y'all, we are officially in the top 5. Put your guesses down below what you think some of my top 5 might be. Starting with number 5. Gosh, I love this. We have Nomad Ghost Town. First of all, the packaging is so rad. We've got, you know, old West, old-timey West, but then you've got like the spooky vibes. It is so cool, but what's inside is what makes this palette so special. This is another one. I keep saying it, but it surprised me. And when something surprises me, that's what sends it up on my list too, because I really like to be surprised by a color story that I wouldn't normally reach for, that I wouldn't normally think of. And this is the cool tone palette of my dreams. I am a warm tone loving bitch, okay? But this like almost sent me to the dark side of cool tones. Yes, there are some warm tones here. We definitely have these golds, but like these kind of murky, dusty colors are so beautiful. But what makes them even better is that they are murky and dusty, but they don't go on your eyes in a bad way, in a patchy way. They go on opaque. They blend together like an absolute freaking dream. I do think that this will go down in history as one of Nomad's coolest palettes they've ever done. It's so rad. And anybody I know who has given this one a chance and used it has loved it. Every single person. I don't know a single person who didn't like this palette or who wasn't in love with it. So Nomad Ghost Town, gosh, you have my damn heart. But you might have noticed that there is one Nomad palette that came out this year that I have not yet put on the list. So coming in at number 4, we have Okavango Safari. This again is a palette I've reached for so many times I can't even count. This is neutrals, but this is a safari palette to me. This screams safari because you've got these greens of like savanna grasses and things like that. But you've got the browns, you've got the kind of murky gold. So like this is a hella grungy palette. But these two shades, okay, we've got like the tiger striped buddy up there. We've got the zebra stripe down here. They are so underrated because they are so freaking metallic. Look at this. Like they are ridiculously metallic. Just those two colors. Like the others are metallic as well, but they are so beautiful. Actually, I totally forgot to swatch one of them. Let me wipe all this crap off my hands. The other color, which is what, Nile Crocodiles. This is one that like, it looks kind of gold in the palette, but with green specks. And it's the most beautiful olive green ever. Look at that. Look how metallic and beautiful it is. This palette almost could make me cry. I've used it so much. I don't know if you can tell how much I've used it. This is my favorite Nomad palette of the whole year. I love this one. And I feel like this isn't one maybe that people would initially gravitate towards because it's not flashy or dramatic, but it's so good. Like, oh God, and the packaging, I'm sorry, but like this leopard print, fuzzy packaging, it's like my heart in a palette. We are in my top 3 palettes, and this is a palette I have not talked about much of using. Like I used it in one video, but off camera, I can't stop thinking about it and thinking of what I want to do with it. This is the Gourmand Girls Haunted palette. This is one that you all might know I waffled over. I really waffled over whether or not to buy this, and eventually there was a sale. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it, and I'm so happy I did. I love this story so much. I think it's so beautiful and I can't even stop staring at it. The shimmers are stunning. And yes, it is true. I probably will not be using the pink shimmer. You all know me. But the others, like, look at that. That color might as well be called Linda. Okay, it might as well be called Linda. I love it so much. But these kind of murky colors with these absolute brights is a dream to me. And the quality is so good. This is the only Gourmand Girls palette I've ever tried, and I can't wait to try more. It is such good quality. It is so worth the cost. It's just brilliant. Do I want to swatch any of these? Of course I do. Do I want to make sure that I'm swatching a metallic when all I've done is swatch metallics? You're damn right. I want to swatch Apparition. Oh my God, these are so soft. And this one, which is Unearthly. Yeah, Unearthly. Guys, this is an indie brand. This is an indie brand, and these are shifty multi-chromes, and they're so beautiful. Like, this one is not a multi-chrome. I'm sorry, Unearthly is not a multi-chrome. This one is just a beautiful shimmery metallic, but this one goes from blue to purple, and it's so stunning. Look how metallic and wet looking these are. I can't wait to try more Gourmand Girls. So please tell me in the comments below what your favorite palette is from them, because I'm just dying to know. This is so beautiful. My number 2 palette of 2023, and I don't know if you'll consider this technically to be a palette, but I do. It is the Lost Library collection from Fantasy Cosmetica. This was my very first year trying this brand, and I've never seen anything like these. I have nothing like this in my collection. Now, it might look on camera like a bunch of shades of white, but I assure you that it is not. I'm trying to capture those deep colors in there, but I guess the only way we can do that is to swatch them. So I'm just going to swatch these randomly. These are straight up hollow chromes, okay? They shift 90 different ways, and they are so beautiful. Like, oh, just crumbled a little bit on myself, but I'm going to go ahead and swatch these for you so you can see. These are so creamy and smooth. Every color is a dream. Look at that. Look. And it shifts 18 different ways. Oh my God. I can't believe how shifty these are. And this is an indie brand. Now you can buy all these colors individually. Look at that color. That color is, oh gosh, it's so hard to get these out of the palette, but like, it's like a purple to a green to gold. Like they're just so stunning. And they're, look at, oh God, I can't stop staring. Now this palette is one that I reach for different reasons. I've talked about how I reach for palettes, you know, like when they're neutral palettes and I want it for a zoom color, things like that. This one I reach for because it's so unique to my collection personally. It is just brilliant. The colors are so good. I would love to use one of these in every single look. And I've used this so much since I got it. I absolutely freaking adore this. It's so good. You will not be disappointed with any of these colors. And my number one palette of 2023. This is going to surprise none of you. And guys, I know that this only just came out recently, but it is the Melt and Bailey Sarian Fatally Yours palette. The reason I put this up there is because I have not stopped using this since I got it, okay? I didn't use it today, which is a big shocker. I've used this palette no less than a dozen times since I've gotten it. This is like a dream palette for me, okay? I love shimmers. You know, I spent this whole video swatching nothing but shimmers. I didn't swatch a single matte, I don't think, and yet here I am holding up an all matte palette. I said this in my video, but if this palette didn't have Bailey's name on it, I would almost expect it to have my own name on it because this is my dream palette. These grungy, deep, dark tones are so beautiful. These are such sexy colors to me. Phosgene is by far my favorite color, that like lime, dusty, mossy green. I've used every single shade in this palette. Can I say, yes, every single shade in this palette I've used multiple times. I did an all blue look on my Instagram reels, I believe. I've done all green looks. I've done looks with these down here, which are grungy. Like if you liked the 420 palette, the idea of the 420 palette, but you didn't like the quality, I assure you, you will be obsessed with this, okay? I do think that the color stories were different, but a lot of people thought they were similar enough. I can't speak highly enough about this palette. It is so good. And it's just like my dream palette. Like it really is. And I look at it and I get happy. And this is a palette that like I'm going to be using very often for years to come. I almost wonder if this is replacing the Gemini as my favorite melt palette of all time. Stop the presses. I don't know if I can say that yet because Gemini is still my favorite palette of all time. So if this were to replace my Gemini as my favorite melt palette, that would mean this is my favorite palette of all time. That's a tall order. I don't know that I can say that yet, but it's in like the top tier of the top tiers. So you guys, that is it. That is 28 palettes ranked. And again, other than one palette, I loved all of these. I feel like this was such a good year for eyeshadow palettes. And I feel beyond thankful that I got to try this many because I would not have gotten to try this many if it wasn't for you guys. If it wasn't for you all supporting my channel, sharing my videos, giving them a thumbs up, commenting, all of those things that might take 1 second out of your day but really mean the world to me, I wouldn't be getting these chances. And please know I am so well aware of that. And I am thankful for you all every single day. I think about that a lot, like maybe a lot more than I should. I'm like, oh, you know, I'm drinking my coffee. Oh my God, I'm so thankful. Whatever, it's cheesy, but it is true. I love you guys very much. So if you were surprised by any of the rankings in this video, if you thought something would be higher or lower, or if you think I left something out, which I am so paranoid that I did, leave it in the comments down below. Let's chat. Tell me what your favorite palette has been this year that you've tried, even if it didn't come out this year, even if it came out previously. Tell me what your #1 palette of the year is, or your worst. Let's talk about that too. But that's it. If you like this video, I would love if you give it a thumbs up. That really helps out my channel. You all can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Those are all GlitterFallout. And as always, and forever, you are super freaking rock stars. I love you so much with my whole heart, with everything that's inside my little chest over here. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.